Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Shauna from Created and Made, and today I'm going to show you guys how I took my gel plate, some Gilding flake sheets, alcohol ink, and created these stunning, shiny, foily, beautiful gel prints. Fun stuff ahead. Stay tuned. Okay, so jumping right in, I'm starting off with my 5x7 gel plate, and I have some 5.5 by 5.5 inch Gilding flake sheets. I'll drop a link in the description where I got mine. This particular brand works well for this technique. Your mileage may vary with the whatever brand you might have. I think it does make a difference what you're using. So if you try this and it doesn't work, you might want to get some different Gilding sheets. So all I'm doing is I'm just pressing my Gilding sheets onto my gel plate, and then I'm going to pick them up, or pick it up, the gel plate that is, and just give it a bend. Let it bend and let that foil just crack right up. You see all those beautiful crackles there? So I'm just giving it a bend in several different directions, and that's it. Like, that's how you create the crackle finish. But the way that it looks in the end is going to be determined by how you pull the print. So I'm going to show you two methods of pulling the crackle prints. This first one is the direct brayering method, and that is what it sounds like. I'm just brayering this paint directly onto the print, and you can see how sort of rough it looks because that brayering is agitating some of the foil, and you can see how it gives you sort of an uneven, rough, super crackly effect. Now, I like this works. It just depends on what you're going for. It just depends on what aesthetic you're trying to achieve. This looks really broken, really grungy, and I really love that effect as well. Now, I am going over the top here with some alcohol ink. I'm using two brown hues from the Ranger line. Now, because I pulled this print with white paint, the alcohol ink is going to colorize the places where the white was showing through, which is where the crackles were. So you're going to see that the cracks are going to be shades of brown in this print. Now, you can change the way that looks by not pulling with white. You can pull with another color. Later on in this video, I'm going to pull with black, so that changes the effect. So look at that. Look at how that catches the light. Look at how much texture it has, how it looks sort of rusty. I am going over the top with some isopropyl alcohol now, and what that is going to do is going to lift the alcohol ink in the places where the isopropyl is, and so that gold foil really shines through. You can really see the foil in those places, and so that just gives you more highlights, more texture, more shiny, right? So I really like how this one came out. It really looks textured, rough, rusty. I love it. I could see using these for like fall leaves if you're a card maker, or putting them in your art journal, etc. So what I'm going to show you now is a second. You see those cracks? I just love it. The second way of pulling a print, and I'm calling that the indirect brayering method. So I pulled out another gel plate here on the side. I am rolling the paint out onto that plate, and I'm putting the paper onto that plate. So I'm getting that paper full of wet paint. I probably could have used a little bit more, to be honest, but then I'm putting that paper on top of the foil, and I let that dry, and now I'm just pulling it that way. Now, the reason you might want to do this is if you like how your crackle came out and you want it to stay the way that it is on the plate, you would use this indirect brayering method. Now, I just pulled exactly what was on that plate off of the plate, and it looks the same, with the save for the edges, which didn't pull clean, and I could have helped that by using a little more paint. But this indirect method helps you sort of not have that rough effect that the first one had. Now, I'm covering this with some jet black alcohol ink from Ranger, and then again I'm going in with the isopropyl just to bring some of that foiling back out that has been covered up by the alcohol ink. And this method is not exact. You go in and you brayer the alcohol ink, you spray, you dab until you get the effect that you're looking for. Now what I'm going to do is I trimmed off the edges, and this is what I ended up with. It's so interesting. I just find these prints so beautiful and interesting, and you can just keep looking at them because there's so much texture and visual interest there. Now I am going to show you guys how you can manipulate how the crackle looks. Now, sometimes you'll do a direct brayering like this and you won't get that roughness that we had before. And so as you can see, if you just keep brayering and keep brayering until the paint starts to dry, what you'll get is you'll get the foil start to lift onto your brayer. As you can see, you see it getting rougher the more I am brayering. So when the effect is what I want it to be, I put some more paint over the top and then I pull it that way. You can use this method to manipulate the way that the cracking sort of looks and to make it rougher if it's not doing what you want it to do. Now I have gone ahead and pulled that print, and you can see how I was able to pull up some of that foil in places, and you can see the black paint through those cracks that I pulled up as I continue to brayer and brayer and brayer. Now, as acrylic paint dries, if you've gel printed, it will start to pull up whatever is on that plate. So that's a way that you can get that foil to lift up. Now I'm going in with some beautiful Fiesta and Mermaid is the name of these alcohol inks from Ranger, and they're mixing on that foil and creating some purples and other hues of blue. I love it. So I'm going to trim off the edges here, and what I'm going to show you guys is something else you can do with these prints just to give it a little bit more interest if it doesn't have enough already, right? So I'm going to take this and I'm going to, well, first I'm going to do the isopropyl alcohol and get some dabbing there so I can get that silver foil to pop out some more in certain places. And it really turned out quite beautiful when it catches that light. So I'm going to show you guys how to add stenciling over the top. Now, because I want sort of the plastic part of the stencil, that's the part that I want on my print. What I'm going to do is I'm sticking it down to an 8x10 gel plate. Now, you don't need a gel plate to do this. It just helps it not to move for me. And I'm covering it with a bunch of acrylic paint. Now, I use more acrylic paint than I would normally use. So I got that stencil covered with paint, and I'm just going to put my print right on top of that so that it is what is the stencil, the plastic part of the stencil, that is going to end up on my print and not like the negative parts. You see that? That looks like scales, mermaid scales. I think that's the name of that stencil, mermaid something or other. So I'm just going to show you guys one more iteration of that stencil trick I just did. This is, I'm not really a green kind of person, but these two together I really enjoy. This is rainforest green, what is it, by Pinata, and then Botanical by Ranger, with some gold foil underneath. And applying my isopropyl here, and look at that, how it catches the light. Oh, so beautiful. And I'm going in with a bigger sort of scale here. Scale, I don't know what this is. It kind of looked like scale. So, and I'm doing the same trick I just showed you guys, applying the paint to the stencil and then pulling it onto my print. Look at that. I'm just enamored with this technique. I really like how they are turning out. Another thing you can do with these papers, of course, is emboss them. Now, Tim Holtz's line of those 3D embossing folders, oh my goodness, they can add so much texture and detail to these prints. Like, look at that, as if they didn't have enough, right? But you can add over the top these 3D sort of textural things. Now, this is one of the ways that I used one of my crackle foil papers. you know, sometimes I just make stuff just to make it, but then I make stuff to use, to actually use in my art journals. Now, I took a gold foiled crackle paper without any alcohol ink on it, and then I went in with some heavy gesso in black over this really cute Jane Davenport face stencil. And so I end up with a lady with some she has a crackle face. I don't know, I kind of like it. I ended up doing two of them, and I actually liked this one better because it had a little less sort of cracking through the face area. And I just fussy cut that out, and actually I'm going to go in with some alcohol ink here and give some color to her lips. And I mean, you could do more if you wanted. I just did the lips. You can do eyes or rouge or whatever floats your boat, but I just did lips here. And so this is really simple, really easy way to use one of these prints. Now, I'm just going to stick this down on a random background in one of my journals. Like, this was just a background that wasn't finished. It was just kind of, I've been adding pieces to it here and there. That white stuff I did in a video too. I'll drop a link to that. It's a crystal clear prints video. And so I've just been adding layers and layers, and now I added my focal piece in my sentiment, and it's actually done now. So it's just a cute, easy, fun way to use these crackle prints. I really like how this one turned out. So now I'm going to go through and show you guys all of the prints that I did. You didn't see me do all of these, but just take a look. I don't know about you, but I am moved by this. I really like how these came out, and I will probably make these over and over again. I made a whole bunch of them. Using the Gilding flake sheets can be kind of fussy, but this particular iteration of it, this method, isn't that messy. I will drop a link to a video also that I just made about foiling your gel prints, and in that video you'll see plenty of techniques about how to clean up the foil if it starts to get a little bit on the messy side. But these full sheets, these full size sheets, just smashing them onto your gel plate doesn't tend to create that much mess. So I think it's totally worth it because these turned out really beautiful. So I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, please go ahead and hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. I hope to see you guys next time, and in the meantime, keep creating and making. Have a great day, you guys. Bye bye.